Old people of Reddit, what were elders from your time ranting about? Too much TV, you should be outside, like the hair. Now, don't you need us? There's a haircut you could set your watch to. Kiss. They were knights in Satan's service, satanic members with their devil music. It's like light rock now. It's always been weird to me that people think Kiss is heavy metal or hard rock. They had AC/DC in the 70s and 80s, and that's way harder than Kiss. Makes no sense to me. Well, makes no sense to me either, mate. My parents used to tell me how lucky I was to have electricity, hot water, etc. They said only rich people had cars when they were young. No, only rich people have horses. Horse owners are like Schrodinger's wealth. They're either super rich, or super poor. Well, if we can agree on one thing, horses are awesome. My granny, born 1920, was in the car with us listening to the radio when the Beatles came on. She said, I used to think the Beatles were just a loud noise. But compared to this newer stuff, they're actually quite pleasant. So basically, always music. Edit. I am aware that 30 is not that old, and I'm aware that lots of people also have or had older grandparents, but my granny would have been 33 when she had my mum, who was 37 when she had me. Us young folks with older grandparents are not the norm. Same thing as always. Young people have no work ethic, bad music, and too much sex. If each generation kept having increasingly too much sex, what generation am I in? You're in the overflow generation. We were having so much sex the number overflowed and we're back at zero. Sorry, bud. The Beatles and rock and roll suck. Frank Sinatra and lounge music is going to be popular forever. To be fair, they got it right about Frankie Boy. It's even still popular in 2049! A man from the future! Madonna being a bad role model for girls, MTV, Crayola, coloured hair. Yeah, I remember my father being absolutely appalled at Madonna back in the Like a Virgin days. Appalled, yet late at night when no one was around, the fappening happened. Okay then. I can't find the thread, but I do remember reading about someone whose grandma, I think, distrusted books, specifically novels and fiction, because they would encourage people to live in fantasy worlds instead of the real world. Edit. Thank you to User Deep Orange for finding the thread. It was the guy's grandpa, my bad. Also, this is now my most upvoted comment. Many religious people believe that fiction is evil because it is lies. Now, let's see here. Heavy metal, D&D, too much TV, smoking, skateboarding. You're 14, get a job. Glad to know people of the previous generations aren't betting off on Vice as well. Edit. Shitting on D&D got me silver? Well, what do you know? Not an old people, but Socrates thought writing things down instead of memorizing them would destroy learning forever. And somebody wrote this thought down since we know it today. His student Plato did. Wow, could you imagine how the world would have been if we didn't write anything down? Not much of an elder myself, but this quote from around 2100 years ago always made me laugh. Times are bad. Children no longer obey their parents, and everyone is writing a book. Marcus Cicero, 106 to 46 BC. Edit. So, thank you for the gold. I don't know if it's deserved since the quote isn't mine, but I'll accept it anyway. Now, everybody has a podcast. Oh yeah, brings to mind Alex Jones, don't it? Our music, hairstyles, fashion, lack of morals, etc. I'm an old fluffer now myself, but I refrain from getting into intergenerational flame wars with the younger folk. This my group is good, your group is bad bull gets real old real fast. And the truth has been spoken. My parents complained all the time that I spend all my free time with the computer and I'd be a beggar and complete failure in life. I'm a software engineer for 20 years. In some families, being a software engineer is still failure. A friend I work with makes more than his doctor brother and his parents still give him for not having a real profession. That is something I will never understand. Well, I just hope he's doing well for himself. One of my husband's relatives is like 70-something, and she's a very nice lady, but she is vehemently against D&D. Supposedly, as it was explained to us, she believes that you have to have some kind of satanic ritual to bind demons to your service so they make you good dice rolls and make your character do well. Honestly, that sounds way more exciting than D&D actually is. I'll have her know that my warlock is a strict anti-demon policy. Fey pact all the way, baby.
Those goddamn pot-smoking, anti-war, tree-hugging, socialist, anti-gun, anti-America, communist hippies!
Red Foreman, is that you? Whatever the latest new media is. Comic books in the 50s, TV in the 60s and 70s, video nasties in the 80s, computer games in the 90s. But amazingly, even books were once seen as a dangerous craze. Back in the 18th century, many prominent voices were concerned about the threat posed by people reading too much. A dangerous disease appeared to afflict the young, which some diagnosed as reading addiction, and others as reading rage, reading fever, reading mania, or reading lust. Throughout Europe, reports circulated about the outbreak of what was described as an epidemic of reading. Run for the hills, it's a book! I'm in my early 50s, so I guess that counts as old. Don't watch so much TV. I could only watch half of TV a day, so I go to my friends' houses after school where their parents weren't so strict.
Don't sit so close to the TV. Go outside and play. You've been on the phone for an hour. You just saw your friends at school. Get off the phone.
I don't know what got into me there, but yeah, I'm guessing that's what his parents sounded like when he was young. Black people. Wars. Government telling them what to do. No jobs. Not enough money for all their kids. Homosexuals. Drugs. Heroin and pot most, but changed around the 80s to crack cocaine. Having to work 16 plus hours a day to have a house and food to feed a family. Police brutality. Just a few that I'd remember. Old people still complain about all that. Hell, young people complain about a fair amount of that as well. I have to agree with that. Gas went up to 20 cents a gallon. Beatniks. Running up the long distance phone bill. I don't think kids nowadays even are aware we used to pay extra for calls out of state. Oh, those were the times indeed. Maybe put this on an ad in a newspaper and you'll get some replies. Oh, I love it. Things said about the young boomers.
They're all narcissistic. Me generation. Ugh, their music is too sexual. They watch too much TV. Too many drugs, too much partying, too much sex. Their feminism is making women into men, or is going too far, or is destroying the family unit. They only care about money. Yuppies. They're too materialistic, or always want new or throwaway culture, killing traditional repair skills. They don't go to church enough. They spoil their kids, they're destroying the sanctity of marriage and the family unit with their divorces, and working mothers equals bad.
The only thing I ever heard my maternal grandfather rant about was the length of men's hair. Other than that, my grandparents never ranted. All four of them had tons of cool stories to tell. My paternal grandmother died shortly before my 5th birthday, so I didn't get to hear much of hers. But I remember. I miss hearing about the old days from the rest, and even stories from the war. I'm now in the process of writing them all down for my kids. And that is something everyone with kids should aspire to. Passing down the stories of older generations. Rap. It was the ruination of a society. It was pretty obviously just racism with a thin veneer, but Jesus, people got pissed that rappers existed and the kids liked them. I got a ton of, you like rap? Oh God. I'm happy now that we have a more broad cultural acceptance of it. You still see people getting irrationally angry about it, but not nearly as much. I know a lot of people in their 40s and 50s who love hip-hop. Any Xer that had to put up with being ranted at hears it when someone says any of the modern things about millennials. You know, like getting your life together, being responsible, not taking the same path they took despite the 20 years the world has changed.
Just walk in and ask for a job.
My friend just got told the very same thing from his parents a couple days ago. It's mad. We were all spoiled with how much we ate, especially meat and out-of-season veg. You should never waste food. Leftovers cooked into the next meal constantly. Didn't trust the government, felt that you should learn to do everything yourself and not pay anyone to do it. Bad DIY everywhere and homebrew booze. Basically, after living through rationing and war, that you shouldn't be wasteful. There was other more paranoid anti-change stuff, but mostly was about hard graft and frugality. Note, this was my great-grandfather. I'm not that old. I was actually starting to doubt your age, mate.
Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to Reddit Originals for more videos like this. Oh, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all our videos. We upload a video each day, so stay tuned.